before the Philadelphia 76ers had the team that they have now, they went through the worst time in franchise history known as the process, where they basically just lost a lot of games and tanked so they get a high draft pick. And I mean, it worked, right? They got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and that's a great duo in itself. From the time they both stepped on the court, we knew they were going to be a great duo, and things were really looking up for this team, but a few bad decisions almost ruined everything for this core group, and I want to talk about how Daryl Morey helped save this team. Okay, guys, so to tell you how the Sixers almost screwed up their franchise and how Daryl Morey saved it, I need to first tell you what happened beforehand. So let's go back to the 2017-2018 season. This was the first year they made the playoffs after a 5-year playoff drought. And 76er fans, they were hyped to finally see that the process was over. Because I know they were tired of that. They weren't just bad, they were winning like 11 games a season. Absolutely terrible, and it was not a fun time to be a Sixers fan. But y'all stuck in it, and y'all got some stars out of it. So I definitely think it was worth it. And then y'all matched up against the Miami Heat in the 2017-2018 first round. And you beat them easily in a 5-game series. I remember Bam was the rookie that year. And the Heat really just weren't that great at the time. And, you got away with them pretty easily. But then you met up with the Celtics, who had a pretty good run that year, and lost in 5 to them. It was like, okay, it sucks that you lost in 5 to the Celtics. I think Kyrie wasn't even playing either, but at the end of the day, you finally made the playoffs, and you made the second round at that, so that's a W in itself. So, of course, next year, 2018-2019 season, they had a little bit higher expectations. Like, y'all should make the playoffs. You made it last year. But y'all shouldn't just make it. Y'all should make the second round at least and put up a better fight in the second round this time. And, of course, that should be expected. I mean, if you do good one season, you want to improve on that. But I don't think the Sixers front office was content with just making the playoffs or just making the second round. They wanted to contend for NBA championship in their second year being a playoff team. And they went all in, I'm not going to lie. They already had JJ Redick. Of course, they had Embiid and Simmons. And they traded for Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. So that's starting 5 right there, man. We're talking Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. And alright, at the time those trades happened, I said to everybody, all my friends, everybody I knew, they had the best starting 5 in the league. And in my opinion, I think they still had the best starting 5 in the league at that time. I mean, we're talking potentially 3 top 25 players. Actually, not potentially. They are 3 top 25 players. Maybe even 3 top 20 players, depending on where you put Ben Simmons. And Tobias Harris is no scrub either. I mean, he's not too far from being a top 30 player, top 40, something like that. Especially at the time, he was doing very well for himself. And then you had one of the best shooters in the league in JJ Redick. I didn't see a way anybody could stop him. And, it took some gelling because they were mid-season trades. But at the end of the day, they made the playoffs. And they beat the Nets, so the D'Angelo Russell Nets, in 5 games, Made it to the second round again, no problem. And in the second round, they were facing the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. And they ended up being up 2-1 on the Raptors. But at the end of the day, they were down 2-3. They sent to a Game 7. And we all know what Kawhi Leonard did in Game 7. He hit the game-winning shot. It was one of the luckiest bounces ever. It bounced like 7 times or how many ever times. And we all know it. He could have missed it, and it could have went to overtime. And the 76ers could have went to the conference finals. And if they go to the conference finals, I believe that they beat the Bucks just like the Raptors beat the Bucks. And we may be seeing a 76ers championship. Or who knows, maybe they face the Warriors and then KD never got injured in that series, and then the Warriors won. I don't know, but in another scenario, man, if Kawhi Leonard misses that shot, the Raptors don't win that championship, and the Sixers go at least to the conference finals, and that could have been dope for them, man. Even if they didn't make it to the finals, they didn't win a championship. I feel like Jimmy Butler seeing, oh man, we made it to the conference finals. Oh man, we made it to the finals. Maybe it would have made him want to stay more. But see, that's where they messed up, because Jimmy Butler didn't want to stay. JJ Redick, he didn't want to stay. And they ended up leaving them in free agency. Now, it's not just like, oh, they just want to change the scenery. No, it was actually a little more deeper than that. Apparently, Jimmy Butler has said on the podcast, multiple podcasts actually, that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons just didn't have the best communication skills in terms of, like, if Joel Embiid messes up on the court, he takes a bad shot, Jimmy Butler can't go over there and say, Joel Embiid, that was a terrible shot, man. You gotta get your stuff together, man. Joel Embiid would get attitude, or he wouldn't like to hear that stuff. It wasn't as bad as in Minnesota, is what he said, but he said it was still, they were kind of immature. He's, instead of grinding all the time in the gym, Ben Simmons might be playing some video game stuff. So I felt like he kind of felt like he was still in the same situation in Minnesota, and he didn't want to be like that. Jimmy Butler wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning. He grinds every day, and that's why he went to the Miami Heat in the day. It's a warm, nice city, and they have that culture where we are going to give 100% every single day all the time. And that's just what Jimmy Butler is about. Nothing wrong with that. That's why he's like a top 10 player. He has that mentality. And something else Jimmy Butler said. So apparently when, like, mid-season, after they did that trade for Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler and all them, apparently they had a team meeting. It might have been before they got Tobias Harris, honestly. So they had Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, and then their two stars, and Brett Brown, the current head coach at the time. They all had a team meeting in the coach's office, and he said they were in there for about an hour, and literally they said almost nothing. He said nothing got done, nothing changed. They were supposed to talk it out and see how they can play better together, maybe who was going to sacrifice more, do it. They didn't really do much. And JJ Redick and Jimmy Butler, they said when they were walking out of that office, they were pretty much talking to each other, and they're like, yeah, we're pretty much gone. So before the playoffs even started, they knew they probably weren't coming back. So with Kawhi Leonard hitting that dagger, that was kind of like the dagger of them leaving too. And JJ Redick, he's one of the best shooters in the league, but he can be replaced. But the Jimmy Butler one was hard to follow. However, all hope was not lost yet, as Jimmy Butler didn't just flat out leave. To go to Miami Heat, he needed to do a sign and trade to make the salaries for it. So they did a sign and trade, and the 76ers got Josh Richardson back in return. And he was seen as an up-and-coming possible star. I mean, some people were really high on this guy, and they were thinking he could be a real star in this league. And honestly, I could see why. At the time, I kind of saw him as a similar play style to Bradley Beal, and a lot of people thought he could be one of the best shot creators in the league in the up-and-coming years. And even though he hadn't shot the most efficient in his career in the past, he just had flashes where maybe a few weeks at a time where he would just be amazing at creating his own shot and just be an amazing player. And the Sixers were hoping that's what they would get. So they got him, and they also signed Al Horford to a massive 4-year contract. I think it was $100 million. It was somewhere, he was getting paid around $25 million a year. And let's just all be honest, we all knew that was an overpay for Al Horford at the time. Well, I was sitting there looking at him, and I was like, man, this guy's like 32 years old, and he's going to be getting paid $25 million for the next 4 years. But I thought they fit good together, and a lot of other NBA fans did too. Even though the league was going smaller and stuff, at the same time, Al Horford was the only guy in the league who was really able to shut down Joel Embiid in the past. And that's why, the Celtics had beat him that one time, because literally in that first year the Sixers made the playoffs, he shut down Joel Embiid so hard, and always in the regular season, he was always a tough matchup for him. So like, oh, well, if we can't beat him, we just get him on our team. And it was a good idea and concept. It was like, oh, two of the best defensive big men in the league. No one's going to stop us in the paint. And then we also have, Josh Richardson out there. We have Tobias Harris on the perimeter. We're going to be fine. Joel and Al Horford can shoot threes. But it didn't work out that way, because it didn't take long. It only took about 10, 15 games. You saw that Al Horford and Joel Embiid did not work well together. If anything, Al Horford had lost a step or two, and it was just a terrible pairing from the start. Not only was their fit of Joel and Al Horford bad, but then that you had to combine that with Ben Simmons not being able to shoot a three, and the spacing was abysmal on this team. But the problem is, with a contract that bad, it was going to be pretty damn hard to get rid of it anyways. So they kind of just stuck with it and, did what they could last season. But by the time the playoffs rolled around, even Ben Simmons was hurt. And like I said, the Al Horford and Joel Embiid thing didn't work too well. So honestly, man, they just got swept by the Boston Celtics. ironic because they thought they were getting Al Horford so that they could beat the Celtics. But it really didn't work out that way at all, did it, guys? So now we fast forward to the 2020 offseason, the offseason this past year. And after that disappointing loss, I was starting to think, damn, the Sixers really messed up. Because I know they gave up some assets trading for Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. And Jimmy Butler was gone. And Tobias Harris was looking like a shell of his former self. His percentages went down a lot. And it was honestly looking like he didn't fit too damn well with the team either. But a big part of that just had to be with he's not a small forward. He shouldn't be playing small forward. And with Al Horford on the team, it's forcing him to play some small forward. So that was a big problem right there. But I was starting to think, what is next for the Sixers? Like, if they just got swept in the first round, I know they didn't have Ben Simmons, but that's pretty damn bad. But some good things happened for him. Well, for one, the Rockets kind of just imploded because James Harden didn't want to be in there anymore. And I think Daryl Morey kind of just gave up on the team too. And he especially didn't want to be there if James Harden was going to leave. But he's consistently provided James Harden over the past like 7-8 years with any player he wants, pretty much. The players James Harden wanted, he got. And he had been one of the best GMs over the past 7 to 8 years, and we saw the Rockets, although they never made it to the finals, let's be honest with ourselves, they were the only team that ever gave the dominant Golden State Warriors a run for their money, multiple times. So, he knows what the hell he's doing. So, that's why the 76ers paid him, in terms of what Daryl Morey said, he said a deal he could not refuse. They paid him over $10 million a year to be their president of basketball operations. And so basically he just oversees all the day-to-day basketball operations and stuff like that. So even though he's not the GM, he has more authority over that stuff. Like, at the end of the day, it's his call over stuff. And he got to work as soon as he got there, man. First off, he knew they had to get that Al Horford contract out of there. So shipped him off. It cost him a first-round pick. It really sucks to lose a first-round pick just because you have an incompetent GM, or just you just made a bad mistake and gave Al Horford a really big contract. But at the end of the day, it had to be done. They were in salary cap hell, man. Like, Ben Simmons' extension was about to kick in too, and at the moment of speaking in this 2021 season, they're already at like 144 million in terms of their cap space. I don't even know how much they might be at like 160 million. Like, their luxury tax bill would be so high if they would have kept Al Horford too. So he knew he had to go. So Al Horford, the first round pick, and they got back Danny Green. Why? He still gets paid $15 million. It's only 1 year. He'd be off the books. And Danny Green, they needed a shooter. Danny Green's a shooter. You can laugh and talk about all the memes, how Danny Green was bad. Danny Green's a shooter. Alright, and what else did they do? Well, they said Josh Richardson, nice experiment. We're out of here. Traded Josh Richardson, got Seth Curry. The Mavericks, they wanted a player who had more defense, and the Sixers just wanted more shooting. So, great trade for them. And so far, Seth Curry has been absolutely amazing with them shooting the lights out. And Danny Green, he's been a pretty decent player. But the thing for them is, I think one of the biggest things they did was also getting Doc Rivers on board. Because Tobias Harris played absolutely amazing when he was on the Clippers under Doc Rivers. As soon as Doc Rivers comes over, Tobias Harris is playing the best basketball of his career. Best year by far, in my opinion. Currently, he's averaging about 20 points per game. He's shooting 50% from the field and 44% from deep. Really, just why I think he's been so amazing is, for one, he's been so efficient, and he's just been their second go-to scorer, as, of course, Embiid's their first scorer. And while Tobias Harris might not be the second best player, he's definitely the second best scorer on the team, and done it very efficiently. He's not no spot-up shooter like they tried to use him as a lot last year. Doc Rivers has got him a lot more involved and got him, coming a lot more off the dribble and moving a lot more off the ball. And it's really just attracting a lot of the offensive pressure off of Joel Embiid. Same thing Seth Curry is doing, taking a lot of the offensive pressure off of Joel Embiid. Danny Green doing the same thing. And you want to know what that's doing? That's allowing Joel Embiid to dominate in the paint. And right now, he is going berserk. I don't know the exact stats. It doesn't matter. And in my opinion, at this very moment, the Sixers have they have the best record in the East for sure. And I think Joel Embiid's the #1 MVP race. Like at least in my mind, if I had to pick MVP today, it would be Joel Embiid. He's been dominant. Actually, last night, even though they lost in the first half, he went berserk. He had like 31 points, and I think at one point he had like 21 straight. Joel Embiid is just a dominant big man. Everyone's always known that. He's always been dominant, but it was holding him back. Having Ben Simmons is not the best fit for him. That's already hurting the spacing. But then when you don't even have the best shooters on top of that, it was holding him back. He had no space to operate. But now it's free flowing. The 76ers are the first seed in the East, and I think they have a chance to come out of the Eastern Conference this year. They're not my favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. Definitely not. I would pick the Brooklyn Nets and maybe even the Bucks over them. But they have a damn good shot. And the one thing I can say they have an advantage over the Nets in, they got defense and the Nets don't. But one last thing, man, I just want to say, I really like the Sixers team. Actually, I only have like 4 NBA jerseys, and one of my jerseys is a Joel Embiid jersey. So I'm a Joel Embiid fan. I like y'all's team. And I want to see you do good. So hope you keep that first seed. And honestly, if you go to the finals, man, I'll be rooting for the Sixers, because my team definitely won't be in there. So I just be rooting for y'all. Yeah, Joel Embiid for MVP 2021. Let's do it. All right, that's all I got time for today, guys. Long video. If you stuck around this long, man, congrats to you. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed and want to see more content, definitely think about subscribing. I post videos almost every day on this channel, and so if you like that, then I think you might like this channel. Also, hit the like button, helps get out more people and to grow the channel and content, all that. Just go ahead and do it if you want to. It only takes a few seconds, but peace out, y'all.